The Stark County Commission meeting for, excuse me, for June 1st, 2021, Tuesday, 10 o'clock, or 9 o'clock. We'll do the pledge first. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on our agenda is ratifying the agenda, I guess. So is there any, first of all, there's one change to it on our 950, the Red Trail Energy. They not able to make it today, so that's will be taken off. Any other additions?
Chairman, I have Commissioner Longevity and the Marathon Wind Turbines.
Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second? A motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Next, we have the minutes for the May 4th, 2021 meeting. Is there any corrections or? I do have one on the bottom of page 3, under the Stark County Spirit of Excellence Award. I believe that's Julie Overgage, not Jamie, right? Right. And then under planning and zoning at the bottom of the page 4, it just states the zoning change, but there probably should be details. It was changed from ag to rural residential, right? Any other changes?
I'll move to accept the changes as stated by Chairman.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Zander. I have a second.
So moved.
Commissioner Messer seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Next, we got accounts payable. Is there any questions on the accounts payable?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a couple of questions on the social service building. I know there was a couple outstanding issues. I believe we've got the skull issue resolved. The TMI issue, is that resolved? I don't know if somebody from over there is done. Before we pay that, I'd like to make sure we got that resolved. Ken, do you know?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Usually submitted, but it's not complete.
Any other questions on the accounts payable?
Okay.
I'll move to pay as presented.
Okay. Do you have a second? Do you have a second on accounts payable approving?
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a second. Motion by Commissioner Messer, second by Commissioner Zander. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote? Okay. Do the roll call vote. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Next, we have accounts payable for Commissioner Attorney's fees. For you, Commissioner Arthod.
I submitted my bill that I had last year. I thought about it long and hard. I guess it really kind of sparked my attention with the longevity fee the commissioners paid that wasn't in the policy handbook that the commissioners got paid. Mr. Henning did not do his job as a state's attorney. He did not do his job as being my attorney. I had seen emails that he sent to Commissioner Elkin and Bill Falsing. So he had in no means or way was going to back me on this, which was his job. And I do not feel that I should be personally responsible for this bill. The person responsible is Mr. Henning, but he's not here anymore.
Where's that dollar amount at? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Dollar amount is $10,125.
Is there a policy on this? How does, ma'am?
Not within our handbook that I'm aware of, no. And maybe Joe would be the best person to ask, but I don't know.
And there's probably no past precedents to work off of?
Not that I'm aware of.
I guess I wasn't a commissioner at the time, but I was at that meeting, and Mr. Henning, in my mind, did not do anything to support our commissioner, which I would think would be part of his job description, is to support her in that position.
And, I mean, that is the standard practice, that the state's attorney is the defender of county government.
The state's attorney, yes, is the attorney for the county.
So in this case, there was, so I guess, for whatever reason, county commissioners are employees rather than officers.
We're elected officials like
Yeah.
Tom that's supposed to be taken care of by Tom.
Right. And my point is that in this situation, when you have potential internal county employee versus internal elected official, you know, where does that fall?
I think that was part of the great discussion because of the way that the handbook was written, and I think that was clarified and kind of sussed out, because at one point it was my understanding that it was stated in the handbook that Tom took on also the role of HR, and so I think that's where there's some problems.
And then Mr. Henning denied he was ever HR after he said he was HR. Which was in the handbook that I counted, I think, 14 times.
Is there any other discussion?
Well, I also think that there would be, I mean, if we are setting precedents here, we have to set a precedence, and there has to be, part of me, again, I'm unlike Commissioner Marsh, I wasn't a commissioner at the time. But if we're gonna get into this situation, you know, maybe we should be prior approving outside counsel. Because I mean, any one of us could potentially get there. Because I think you're also opening the door to unlimited funds, because if someone filed a complaint against me, am I hiring the attorney that's $100 an hour, or am I hiring the attorney that's $1,000 an hour? And so, like I said, this was just late.
Commissioner Messer, Amanda would be your attorney. That's who would be your attorney.
in an identical situation.
Yes.
Should be.
Should be.
Or the state's attorney would have the right to give a county commissioner and tell them they could go to the surrounding counties, which Tom did not tell me, and I could have talked to one of those state's attorneys, and they could have been my counsel.
I think last year was really kind of uncharted territory. But it has, at least in my tenure here, has come up, especially kind of in the that was used. So I really have no guidance other than, you know, your decision. What you want.
Well, then it would also open up the possibility of having Commissioner Zander in his regard. I don't know how those conversations went, and I don't know if this is all one and the same, if they're uniquely different. I guess I'd like to certainly study this for a little bit. I don't know if there's a way if we could deal with this and study it for 30 days, because like I said, this was put on my desk this morning, so I'm not opposed to it, but I want to make sure whatever we do, if we're setting a precedent, that the precedent is equitable.
And I'm fine with it being tabled. I just wanted to know, I wanted it brought up. I wanted it in front of the public, not like the longevity payments that weren't brought up to commissioners. I wanted this brought up and to the public. I have no problem with tabling it for a month.
Fortunately, even though we didn't have our camera systems up, we did have members of the public that videotaped it, so I should be able to go back on and you can listen to the whole meeting and decide whether or not Tom was doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
Or which side he was taking on it.
We know it wasn't mine.
Well, if there is no other discussion, I would move we table this.
30 days?
Yes.
Or just until the next meeting.
Till the next meeting.
Yep.
I think you brought it on.
Sure. That makes sense.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Motion is tabled till next meeting, till our July meeting. Next, you have the Sheriff Lee.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Is that me or you? The May highlight for the Stark County Sheriff's Department for and just to advise you guys, the numbers that you received are through the 25th of May, and mine up on the screen are for the entire month. I came in yesterday and got those done. So total calls for service for the month of May are 1,468. This is up from 1,127 last year. Had 358 traffic stops. This is up from 271 last year. May is a grant month for us typically, and this May we did speed and underage drinking grant. 136 of those stops from the city of Dickinson, 222 stops from the county and neighboring small towns. Had 215 public relations stops. This is up from 192 last year. 8 bar checks, that's down from 16 last year. 99 school zone related activities. 12 theft related calls for service, that's up from 8 last year. We responded to 12 accidents. One of these was a pedestrian accident at the Dollar General in Richardson involving a 4-year-old boy. It's my understanding he's doing all right. One was the fatality on South Main and Dickinson here, of course. Another one was a hit and run that occurred on the interstate that ended up being a pursuit, which ended in the Gladstone area without incident. One injury accident we assisted with in Dickinson on the north side of town, and 8 property accidents. 67 total arrests for the month of May. The officer-involved shooting that occurred in northeast Dickinson towards the middle of May none of our staff was on scene for that shooting. We did participate in the aftermath, if you will. We helped get the children and injured members to the hospital. That was pretty much the extent of our involvement. There was multiple fires in May, of course. Hopefully that's resolved for a couple weeks at least. We're having multiple vehicle issues. We have 2 Chevy trucks right now, which are pretty much disabled. We do have, of course, our 2 spare vehicles, so we are maintaining, but we are having trouble finding vehicles, as is everyone else right now, with the shortage of things being manufactured with this chip issue and whatever else they're having trouble getting. So we may have some issues down the road in addition to the other vehicle issues we're having right now. But we did find 2 Ford Interceptors that were sitting on a lot in Minnesota, so we are going to take advantage of that. I did want to ask you guys about the shooting range. We're not putting much, if any, money into our shooting range at the LAC. In fact, there's only 2 lanes working right now. We are still using the other lanes, but we're using them manually. I guess I really don't, I'm looking for your advisement on this. I really don't want to put much money into the range, considering the other projects that are out there right now. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I understand, but the question is how far out are these other ranges? Time-wise.
That's a good question. I know the mayor is pushing to do something with the city, and then we have that private range that may or may not be opening. I guess I'd rather kind of wait it out. That's my plan right now, but,
You're comfortable with, I mean.
okay.
You're able to use the one over at Belfield quite a bit too. Even with the
Yes,
season.
yes, certainly we are able to use that as well, but, okay. I just wanted to pick your brain on that. And then we do have an out-of-state travel request. I'll let Lieutenant Mayor handle that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
Lieutenant Mayor, Stark County Sheriff's Office. Requesting out-of-state travel for the Midwest Organized Crime Information Center, their 41st annual conference and training session. It's going to be held in Deadwood, South Dakota, August 31st to September 3rd. We are a member of MOCIC. It's a group of states nationwide, but we're in the Midwest Center, so we have Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin, and then parts of Canada that are members of this group. Essentially, it's a information sharing group, and they also have numerous investigative resources that we have access to for any multitude of investigative cases that we might need. So they're really a good resource. The training that they're going to be hosting over the 3-day period, we're looking at transformational leadership, understanding current domestic and international challenges to homeland security, enforcement use of social media and investigations, leveraging open source intelligence for investigations. There's a course on skimming and card cloning for credit cards. And there's also going to be information and training on drone programs. Not that we're actually looking at a drone program, but I think there's great information there. I think the technology now, it has some application if we would choose to go in that direction. So that's one that interests me probably because I started the program during my time with the Highway Patrol, did some work on that. So then there's also a case study on the Jamie Kloss abduction. And then some other stuff that's may or may not be relevant. So, but I think it's some very good training. We would look at sending 2 individuals from our office. For the conference, it'll cost us $275 per person to go. If we do the pre-registration prior to July 31st, if we go after that, it's an extra $100. So we would need to get registered prior to July 31st. One of the highlights is that Governor Kristi Noem will be a keynote speaker at the awards banquet on Thursday evening. So it's always nice if you guys are fans of Governor Noem. So yeah, we'd be looking at the travel. So there'd be about 3 nights of lodging. We'd leave here Tuesday morning. There are some events down there Tuesday afternoon that we could attend, and then of course going through Thursday evening, we would come back on Friday morning. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
How many officers?
2.
And have those officers been determined who
Yes.
that will be?
Yes, it would be myself and then Sheriff Lee.
Okay.
I think it sounds like an amazing opportunity.
This is something that they've tended in the past too, several times in the past with some.
Yeah, correct. We are members of MOCIC. We make contact. They have a regional representative that comes in and visits with us on probably every other month. He'll stop in and kind of let us know what's going on. We utilized them in the past. They have other training opportunities that they host locally. So we've taken advantage of the services that they've had in the past. So there's a return on this investment. I guess personally and professionally, I feel that anytime you can get together with your neighboring law enforcement agencies, the networking is important, the exchange of ideas. You look at some of the local trends that are going on in law enforcement nowadays, especially with a lot of the negativity that's going on. I think just listening to how other agencies are handling some of those issues is really important. It'll keep us professionally, I think, on a high tier with handling some of those issues.
Any other questions? Yes, miss.
I would move to approve the out-of-state travel as presented.
Okay, I have a motion approved. I have a second.
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 Just a real quick question. So for educational purposes, does this come out of the sheriff's budget or does it? Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Road Superintendent Al Heiser.
Good morning, everyone. Tell you this old rain we got's been a godsend for Bladen roads, but so we also found out our weak roads that don't have enough gravel on too, so we're trying to get them addressed. Road crew, we still got some blades out blading. I know down Richard had a little rain again last night in different areas, nice showers that come through, so we're working on that. We got gravel trucks hauling gravel over by South Art. I don't know if any of it opportunity, the 107th and 35th is pretty much complete, other than some, I know the contractor's got some finish work, pull the topsoil up next to the edge of the pavement, and then we have to go in and do the ramps off the edge, like all the field approaches. We leave them pretty thick so they don't break them off, then we just feather them out. I know we've got some of that to do. Box culverts, we got some bid coming in here, and I won't just elaborate too much. Jeremy will take care of that. And I know Andrew's got a project that they're working on, and Kinsey Roberts is here with Highlands, and they can kind of discuss what they got going on. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. And that last big fire we had out south of Dickinson there, we actually hauled out 24,000 gallons of water to help douse that fire. So this green grass is really welcome and to hopefully eliminate some of them fires. Boy, when that one took off, I don't think a person could outrun it on foot. That's how fast it traveled. But other than that, I don't have anything else unless you got something for me.
Any questions for our road superintendent?
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks. Okay, next, then we'll have Highland Engineering.
Good morning. I'm Kenzie Robertson. I'm here for Mike Ness. We're currently working on 2 design projects. There's a bridge replacement 8 miles north of Richardson. We've got this 99% complete. It's a 60 by 20 prefabricated steel bridge that we're looking at installing. We're just waiting on core permits, and then it'll be shelf ready once funding's obtained. We're also looking at the Lehigh Drive Bridge. That's just southeast of Dickinson. We're working on looking at some different alternatives for that project, and working with our structural subconsultant on that. 2 construction projects going on 32nd Street Southwest. This is 100% complete. There's just a couple of cleanup items that the contractor's still working on. I think you guys should have received the final pay application for that. On 30th Street Southwest, Halubchak Construction's planning to begin shortly. That project is a tied project with Dunn County. Sorry, Billings County, yep. That's pretty much everything I have, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Anybody have any questions for Kinsey? Kinsey?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, Jerry Wood with Northern Plains.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a couple updates. Like Al mentioned, 35th Street and 107th Avenue, the paving is finished. There's a few little cleanup items left to do, more striping and fixing the gravel sloughs, but that should be done next week, it sounds like. I think it went pretty well. Kind of dodged the rain here and there, but it went pretty well. Other projects, couple design projects we've been working on. We have bid openings scheduled with the DOT next week, next Friday for 30th Street, and then the tied projects of 127th and 131st over by Belfield, so those are finally coming to bid. Then I guess the last project we were working on is 83rd Avenue and 86th bridge replacement south of Richardson. We got the environmental document sent into the DOT. Got a few comments that they want us to revise, but that one is going pretty good. We're going to try to wrap up the plans, discuss easements with the landowners, and tentatively that is set up for the November bid opening. Any questions on that project? I guess that's obviously 2022 construction for those two bridges.
Any questions? Yes, Al?
You know, one thing I didn't bring up is, now that that road is paved out there, we're gonna have to monitor speed pretty close. Especially, you know, cause we have some fluffy fields going slowed down to 35. We might wanna make that whole loop at 35 because, the traffic is really humming there now, cause it's nice and smooth, so I think Sheriff Lee's been kind of monitoring that speed there, so we might wanna come back and for a speed reduction, I think for now we'll leave it. But if we have some big issues, you know, cause especially on 107, there's, you know, residential, quite a residential along there. So maybe someday I'll come back and ask for a speed reduction. For right now, we'll just kind of monitor it. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Not, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, KLJ and Andrew.
Hi, good morning. Andrew Krebs with KLJ.
Morning.
To just give you a quick update. So the first project is that box culvert replacement south of Taylor. Edward H. Schwartz is the prime contractor. We did complete our agreement with the DOT, finalize that for the engineering services. So I talked to Schwartz last week, and they're still thinking in July construction about when the box will get built and be ready to get installed. It's when they want to start. So I talked to them about a list of submittals and that kind of thing, and I sent them a list of what they're gonna need for the project so they could start submitting them and get that in ahead of the project. Other than that, we're gonna need a pre-construction meeting whenever they request one. So that'll have to happen before construction. Probably this month sometime is my guess. Is there any questions on that project?
Questions?
Okay. Second one is just the wetland monitoring on 47th Street. Those rains are probably pretty good for the wetlands too. We want to give it a little more time for some of the vegetation to establish, so we're looking at probably middle of June-ish, going out and looking at that. And I think you guys got any questions on that?
Any questions for Mr. Krebs? Not, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, those are- time here, we'll jump down to the discussion parts. First, you got, Director of Emergency, Services position, and Shauna Davenport, she was appointed as the interim emergency manager, and I guess we never did make that officially as making her the emergency manager, so. I guess you had a presentation for us?
Yeah, I just would like to say that in the last, I guess it's been almost 5 or 6 months now, things have been going really good. Obviously, we've had a hard fire season, but that has been, we've been working really hard with the fire departments and trying to keep on top of that. We've started fire chief meetings, trying to push out as much information to the public and just keep everyone informed as much as possible. Recently hired a new assistant emergency manager and 911 coordinator, which I'm really excited about that. That will help with things in the office. So I just hope to keep things going and make the department a great place. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that I can stay on board in this position. So.
Do you want to introduce
Chairman, as Shauna's portfolio holder, she not only stepped up as the emergency manager in December, she also stepped up with the IT. I mean, it was with Commissioner Marsh and I mean, it was a huge undertaking. I just would like to give her kudos, because whatever, I was like, can you help with this, can you help with that? She's always right there. She has caught up everything with the Siren project, she's catching up with the trainings. In this 6 months' time, she has done a remarkable job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
is it time to remove this interim?
yes, it is.
That's why we're
And so,
doing this.
if it's in order, I would make a motion to appoint Shauna as the Director of Emergency Services, Emergency Management.
And the coordinator of 911,
Pardon me?
and the coordinator of 911.
Yes, I'm sorry, you're correct.
Okay,
I'll second that.
a motion, a second. Any discussion? Not, do a roll call vote. Commissioner Zander,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
chair votes aye.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for everything you've done for us in the last few months. I appreciate it.
Just one
Thank you.
quick question, Shauna.
Yes.
I know with the rain, so what's the status of the fire ban? How do you handle that? And,
The fire ban is still going to stay in place. I mean, we're still going to watch it daily. It changes. Obviously, the last 2 days we were still in high. Today we're moderate, so nothing's going to change there. Every day I try and push out on my Facebook page if the burn ban is in effect. I know people are a little confused about the burn ban. It is a restriction, so you need to check that daily. If we are high, very high, or extreme, or if we're in a red flag, the burn ban is in effect. There is no burning allowed. But if we are in low or moderate, you can burn. But I will put that on Facebook. You can check that on the ndresponse.gov. And if anyone has any questions, they can call me as well.
thank you.
On the lower moderate, they still need to call in if they're gonna burn, right?
If it's a controlled burn, yes, they would call the non-emergency dispatch number,
Yep.
which is 456-7759.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, and then I have my other issue up there. I just wanted to, I have another request for out-of-state travel. There is a 911 conference in Columbus, Ohio in July. I would be leaving on a Sunday evening. It is a NINA 911 conference. There are about 11 courses that I would be taking, as well as networking and keynote speakers. So I would leave on a Sunday and I would be back on a Thursday. And I have money in the budget. I haven't done any training out of 911 yet this year, so I can go over some of the training. There's cybersecurity risk management. There is geographic information systems, which is what we use for mapping for 911 addressing. There is another cybersecurity in the 911 center. There is crisis planning for the public safety answering point and disaster response in 2021 and beyond. And also just more public safety information throughout the PSAP. So I would just like to attend that. Just new in this role, I think networking is a huge thing right now, getting information from my peers and getting to know people. Plus all of the vendors that we work with are going to be there as well, so.
Is it just you going
Yeah,
there?
yes,
Okay.
it would be just
I'll make a
me
motion
from
to
this
approve that out-of-state travel for Shauna for July.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Next, we go to the CUP renewal. Steve?
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Josephson, County Planner. You have a request in front of you for the renewal of a conditional use permit. It's conditional use permit 119, so it was approved originally in 2019. The applicant had requested a conditional use permit for an indoor shooting range. He is looking for partners to in order to go forward, with this. And you all did renew it last year, and he is requesting another renewal for one more year. And I'm
Okay.
here to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions on this?
I'll make a motion to renew this for one more year.
Okay, you have a motion from Commissioner Arthod to renew it. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Commissioner Messer. Roll call vote. Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. I'll notify the applicant today.
Okay, thank you. Next, Joed, are you ready to go ahead with the updates on the policy?
Joetta Piercy, Human Resources Director, and I have two policy updates for the handbook. And with that, we also created policy language with specific guidelines on how you administer those policies. So with the sick leave, we'll do that one first. We just added language to the handbook that if an employee leaves employment within the first 30 days of hire, no sick leave will be paid out. Normally, we pay 10% lump sum when somebody leaves employment. And they have accumulated so little sick leave that there really is none to pay out to them. And then with the policy, this is basically, what we have been doing, and there isn't really anything new in the policy. It's just specific guidelines, more than you can put in a handbook. So that is that one. Any?
Do you need an action item on that one?
Excuse me?
Do we need an action item to update the sick leave
Yes, we
portion,
do.
or you want to do
Yes, we
them
do.
together?
We could do a motion each separately.
Okay, I'll move that we update section 9 of the sick leave policy.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Okay. The second policy is on the vacation leave. And with this one, we added the same language that when we pay out, when somebody terminates, they will not be paid out any vacation within the first 30 days of hire. So we added that language to the policy handbook. I think that's the only other thing is all accrued vacation hours will be paid out to them at their current rate of pay was also added in the language. And then in the policy, and then the paragraph above. So right now, an employee can carry over 240 hours of vacation as of their anniversary date. And we had a lengthy discussion as department heads and elected officials on the maintenance of that is a bit cumbersome on the anniversary date. And everyone was in agreement that we would like to change that to one time a year. So we came up with June 1st would be the best time for most all departments. And so on June 1st, and this would start next year, of course, everyone would have to get their vacation down to 240 hours. And if they do not by that date, then they would forfeit those hours and not be able to carry them over after that point. So they can accumulate all throughout the year, but they just have to get their hours down by then. So that was added to the handbook and in the policy language.
What elected officials did you talk to about this? You had said you talked to elected officials? Or the
That's like at our
information?
department head meeting, so Amanda was there. Karen, Dean,
Okay.
Corey, yes.
It's been discussed at probably the last two meetings that we've had, department head meetings.
So we're department heads and pretty much all on board with this then too?
This is the consensus we came to.
Okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Not look for motion to approve the vacation policy.
I would so move that we change the policy as presented.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Messer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Arthod. Roll call vote, Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Joetta, are we gonna be doing this like every single meeting, going through different changes and stuff?
Yes.
I think that's better.
As
than
we
trying-
write, yes, I thought it was too overwhelming the last time I brought the whole handbook here.
Good idea.
So,
Just maybe make sure we get the email after the department head meeting, so we have time to look at it before the meeting? Or
the
just like the
minutes.
email or the minutes or something after the department head meeting?
Yes, unfortunately, the department head meeting was very close to this meeting, so
Okay,
no minutes came out.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we're gonna schedule it, we're going to, on commission, meeting dates on that. I guess we've had some discussion on that, July 4th, July, it's actually on the 6th, if we want to leave it that date on there, and then, September was the day after Labor Day, it's after holiday, and then October, we have our, Association of Counties meeting, and we wouldn't be coming back till the 5th, so we'd have to move that to a day or two later in October to the 6th or 7th. On that, I don't know what your feeling is on about having meetings after a holiday, like today we had right after a holiday, and it kind of leaves the staff kind of scrambling to get things ready for the meeting in the morning. Your discussion, I guess, first of all, we're gonna just talk about July meeting, that's the 6th, and is that gonna be all right, or do we wanna change that later in the week, or? Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I would defer to your judgment on setting those meeting dates.
okay, anybody else have any comment on that, or?
I think that's all right. I don't know, like, instead of going a day or two later, just go to the following Tuesday probably, because our meetings are on Tuesdays. But
Then if we go the following week, we conflict with some other meetings and
that's fine.
sometimes too, that's,
I'll use your judgment as Commissioner Zander said.
I don't think this July 6th would be,
That probably would be all right.
that would,
That'd be
I
all right.
think would be all right.
okay, how about September then, this day after Labor Day, the next day after Labor Day?
Like the 7th?
We're just looking at we were just looking at the dates where we had holidays on Monday. And then that's why we picked July and then September and then October, we're all gonna be at a conference.
Yeah, that's Labor Day is on the 6th and our meeting's on the 7th, so do we wanna have the meeting the next day after a holiday, or is that?
That doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's more staff issue.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to stay in the same week because there's other meetings we get confliction with, and, so then you're fine with leaving the September one, the 7th, or?
Yep.
Okay, the only one then we need to change though is October 5th one, because we'll be in conference at the conference only ends at noon on the 5th, so we'd have to move that to the 6th or 7th of October. Is there any issues with either one of those dates?
Nope.
Either one works.
That's, how about we move it to the 7th then,
Sure.
7th of October? No motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we move our county commission meeting to the 7th of October, 2021 at 9:00.
Okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Okay. I guess you had to, social services storage building.
I can take that unless Mike wants to come forth on that.
Neil here.
So we were looking at solutions for storage out at the new building, and we had come up with a storage garage, pretty much. Cold storage would not be heated. And we've got bids throughout the community, different concrete, lumber, electrical, and some doors and some of the framing of it. And we're about 47,542 for the building. And that would be the sketch up on the TV of the storage building.
Do you have any questions?
Well, I think part of the background too was that, and Commissioner Zander could maybe chime in a little bit about this, was in visiting with members of the building committee, there was always conceptually of trying to get this done. It was held off at the time of construction of the main building to make sure budgetary issues were addressed. The idea of swapping spaces where social services would, currently they're in a smaller double space, and swapping with them and putting them in the single space and leaving, I believe they have two vehicles, one of their vehicles outside, and there were some issues there that if they used that space, we would be traveling their employees and their clients potentially through a mechanical space to get to their office space, and then it would also take the space for the county employees, Mike and Al, to that they wouldn't have access through a walk door. And
Those
so,
spaces were designed specifically for what they were, just not
yeah.
the size.
So anyway, so this is conceptually what it would take to address that issue. It was brought to my attention this morning, maybe the sidewalls should be a little higher to address storage of another potential piece of equipment. I think we can deal with that if this is acceptable to the rest of the commission, so.
Any questions?
I understand we can't look back, but I find it kind of not feasible to build another building when we probably should have had the storage units and the double garage, make sure with all the money we put into the main building, that everything was gonna fit and be accessible.
Sander?
We have a double car garage, we have a storage facility. All of that should have been, and now we have to build another garage.
Mr. Zander.
Yeah, the plan was always in place to put the unattached storage building on the property. At the time, Commissioner Kuntz and I had discussions with the architect, and as architects typically do, he came in with a price of over $100,000 for this same dimensional building. And so Commissioner Kuntz and myself, as building committee representatives of the county commission, chose to stop that. And our idea at that time was that we would proceed with doing that building in-house. So for whatever discussion purposes, it looks like over $50,000 has resulted in savings.
So on the double stall garage, is that one big room or is that, it's not separated or anything like that?
This here,
No, the one that there is there now.
it's just one big room. It has it does not have the ventilation, does not have the, you know, that little garage has the ventilation fans, CO2 monitors.
Right.
You know, your ladder to the roof is in there, is built to be the maintenance garage. It's just 8 by,
It's just too small.
very small.
Yeah, it just, it bothers me that, social services doesn't pay any rent. They're an expense to us as a county, and then now we have to go out of our way to make accommodations for our own people.
I know, yeah.
And
And this would be for us. I mean,
Yes,
this
I
is
understand
not-
that.
But, yeah, I understand.
My, being on the commission before this, it was discussed before, like Mr. Zander said, that it was quite costly if they came in with a bid. Then I thought there was a saving this way. We were finding out what that building was going to be final cost to before we move forward. Plus moving the maintenance out there, if there's noise or whatever, they're away from there, not disturbing anybody in the building too. When they're working on things out there too.
I mean, my concern is our employees. I'm not concerned about the people that don't pay us rent.
Well, we have that here in the courthouse too, the district court and everything else.
They take care of
That's
us,
why it's state law, we got to provide the office.
I agree with you. I'm just stating my feelings.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Al Heiser has you.
Yes.
The question, Mike, is that garage heated and does it have a floor drain in it?
It will have a floor catch / maybe daylight or ready to be plumbed in for future. There will not be heat at this time.
Okay, I'm just curious if we ever put a snow removal machine in there, it'll just freeze up, or, I'm just curious if any provisions were made
It
for
will be
that.
powered. It will be set up. It'll be insulated and finished.
Okay,
So I think in the future, if you wanted to warm it up, it wouldn't be too
okay,
much of a.
thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess I would like to see the bill on that because eventually we are gonna have to have it heated, like Al just said, with a snow blower or whatever, with freezing up, so I don't know if we should build a shell. I would like to see the bill of what the whole building would cost and not add heat and not add things as we go.
I agree with you.
This is finished,
Just without heat.
insulated, just without heat.
No.
It's the only thing that's missing. This is insulated and sheeted inside.
Mr. Zander, do you have something? No, I thought you.
The building was always planned to be there, and I'll make a motion to proceed with the construction as outlined by the attached worksheet, and that the funds come out of capital improvement.
I'll second that.
Do you have a
For
motion?
discussion, could I get the minutes that was talked about building this onto it? Can that be attached to something?
The motion and a second on that, and you're saying, I guess I'm not sure what you're asking.
Like the minutes when you had, the building committee, when they had their meetings and they had talked about this second garage?
I wasn't in on that, but I know it was discussed at a commission meetings too, that, about holding off on it because of the cost.
Did they keep minutes on, Ken, or Commissioner Zander, did you keep minutes on the building committee? Because that would be easily retrievable then.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay.
I guess I would like to see if eventually we're gonna put heat in there anyway, why not just get it done right from the get-go and be done with it?
I can address that. It changes how you build the building, because if you heat it right away, then you have to have a 4-foot foundation all the way around the property. If you leave it as cold storage initially, you can do slab on grade. So if we want to heat it right away, we would have to change
That would raise
the
the price.
foundation. Yep.
And then afterwards, if you wanna put heat in it, it's no big deal?
It's allowable. I mean, that is
That's fine,
typically
that's-
done. I mean, it's been done a number of times, so just to address your concern on that.
Any other discussion? Okay, Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Zander, second by Commissioner Messer. Roll call vote, Commissioner Zander,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod,
No.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Minutes for next meeting. Commissioner Arthod, you had some on longevity.
Yes. It was brought to my attention, there was a motion in 2006 made that employees get longevity, commissioners do not. It was brought to my attention, I was pretty disappointed. In 2019, that longevity was paid out to commissioners. And they were contacted. Commissioners were Mr. Elkin, Mr. Kuntz, Commissioner Zander, and Commissioner Franchuk. They were pretty big substantial amounts. And I am just wondering why Russ Hoff never got longevity. Longevity has never been paid for in the past. These amounts aren't small amounts. I've heard, could be rumor, just this person said to do it, this person said to do it. And I just guess why in 2019, all of a sudden were there checks issued for such high amounts for longevity in 2019 when it never happened before. And it's in our policy that commissioners don't get longevity.
I think I answer to that is, I was on with the sheriff's department and I was told by the then auditor that, they made a mistake that my time of the longevity starts after 5 years. And I was told that after, they started me all over when I became a commissioner, so that's why I was paid back, but I was not aware that commissioners weren't getting it in the past, so it's my statement on that.
Mr. Zander, your check was $5,000 some dollars. I mean, no commissioners received that in the past. Kenneth R. Zander, $5,560. Longevity. Pete Kuntz, $11,172 in 2019. I think that money needs to be paid back because commissioners were not supposed to get longevity. Jay Elkin also got a check.
So is the longevity for our employees done automatically?
For employees.
Yes.
Longevity is done after 5 years, but it has never been done for commissioners. Jay Elkin received a check for $2,164 in 2019. And then they also received checks in 2020.
I agree, it should be paid back. How do you force somebody to pay money back?
Or it should have been brought forward at a meeting and to let the commissioners decide on if that was going to be paid out or not. Should have been brought forward to the public.
I guess I would like to see the copy of the sheets that you have there. You know, I tried writing down numbers, but I don't understand how that, and that's why conceptually I'm going, we shouldn't be classified employees. We are officers or commissioners, and that's a separate distinction. And any business that's out there, it always is a different compensation package. And so I'd like to take a look at it. I think it needs to be addressed, but I'm not ready to address it today. For that reason, I'd like to take a look at it and digest it a little bit.
And I can provide the 2005 and 2006, where 2005, they said employees only would get longevity. 2006, it was tabled.
It was passed or tabled?
Tabled in 2006.
Mr. Zander?
I just think that, you know, before we make accusatory statements, that we need to clear up the issue involving elected officials as to whether or not elected officials are considered county employees. I think that it's always been my understanding, and I've been reminded by others, that county commissioners are, and elected officials are county employees. In addition to what Commissioner Arthot is referring to, there are other benefits paid to elected officials that are paid as well to county employees, all county employees. And so when we're talking about longevity, should we also include those other benefits like health insurance, retirement, reimbursement for telephones? Should that be part of the discussion? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I would be happy for that to be part of the discussion. It's a public office. I mean, all of those were always given to past employees or to past elected officials. That has been something, but longevity was never, ever given. I looked. The first year was 2019. The benefit package was given. And I mean, we want to talk back and look at the benefit package. That would be fine with me. I would be happy to give up the benefit package as a elected official.
Looks like this is going a little longer than planned here. We're gonna have to table this and go to our Board of Equalization. Okay,
I don't think your mic is working, Chairman. At least. Oh, and maybe it is. Okay, sorry about that.
So what do we do? Do you want to table this till the next meeting? And
no, I'll table it till later. We gotta just go to the equalization, our scheduled time slot here at 10 o'clock.
Good morning, members.
Morning.
Chairman, member of the board. This is your 2021 Stark County Equalization Meeting. The time is now 10:03. I'm Natalie Wander, the Stark County Director of Equalization. I'd like to go over a little bit of housekeeping stuff just so that we know. One of the main is anybody that's here to protest your values, if you can please sign up in the sign-up sheet that Sarah has back in the room. It's a public meeting, so it's being recorded to ensure and meet open records and meeting requirements. All of our board members are present, and there's enough for a quorum, along with our state's attorney, Amanda. Anyone wishing to speak at the meeting will have to come to the podium and state their name and address of the property that they are here to appeal. The process of this meeting will follow as such. The chairman will call the meeting to order, turn the meeting over to the tax director to provide a brief overview of the values for Stark County. We will start with the small cities, then go to the city of Dickinson, then the county. The board or the chairman can pertain to take questions from the audience. They can get up and present if they want to present to the board, and then the board will have to make a decision. All appeals must be based on factual data, and the data must be submitted to the Stark County Tax Director's office by tomorrow at the end of the workday. Once all appeals have been heard, a motion will need to be made by the board either to address all the values in the jurisdiction as a whole or each of the individual appeals separately. Reminder to the commission that all property that is found that has been built before February 1st, 2021, with or without a building permit can be added to the tax roll after this meeting by an added tax. So I guess if we want to call the equalization meeting to order, and then I will start with the small cities.
Okay, called to order then the Board of Equalization. First of all, the minutes from June 4th, 2020, do we have to approve those or they've already been
I
approved?
think they have to be approved because we
Okay.
don't usually approve them any other time during the year.
Okay,
Also move.
okay, we have a motion to approve the June 4th, 2020 official proceedings for the Board of Equalization. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I give a second. Okay. Roll call vote then. Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
So if I wasn't there, how can I approve them? I guess I'll vote aye because, I mean, it is, but I mean, I wasn't at, that's how I would know that they're correct or not correct.
That's a good question.
Good point.
Anyway, I'll say
I thought-
aye, but I mean, that's the question that I have. What am I approving? Because I don't know.
Guess if you,
Abstain.
I'll vote aye.
okay. Chair votes aye, motion carries. Also, I see it on there, you have the former chair and auditor, we're gonna have to change that, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking that we'll have to change it because I just went back and printed them off, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they've never been approved. I can
Probably
look
should
back.
check back to make sure that they are.
What's that?
Kay never signed it after.
Well, they never got approved because
Oh.
it's only once a year. So, but we can always change these to stay the new ones. Okay, so let's start out with the city of Belfield. For 2021, the market value in the city of Belfield was 57,341,100, which is 604,000 more than what was last year. The taxable value is 2,671,133 for a difference of 28,546. They had new construction of 393,900. We didn't have any increase across the board this year for any of the small cities or the county. It basically, we give them a depreciation every year, just in our software, we go in and change the year from 20 to 21. It averages out to about a 1% decrease every year. So that's why, there's a little bit of difference in that market value. But then we also have the new construction, so. Is there anybody here from Belfield or on the phone that would like to speak?
Anyone that has anything to do with Belfield or the city of Belfield, any comment?
I'm from Belfield. What is this regarding?
It's
The Board of Equalization.
Okay.
you're dealing with the taxable value, market value for the year.
Do you live in the city of Belfield?
Pardon me?
Do you live in the city of Belfield?
Yeah, I'm from City of Belfield.
Okay. Do you have any issue with your value on your property, or did you get an increased notice?
Was there an increase this year?
No.
No, I've never
You,
placed any concerns, but I know that there are some people that have.
okay, could you state your name for the record, please?
Cindy Evident.
Okay. And do you have any issues then with the market value or the taxable value for Belfield then, or?
Do I have any what?
Do you have any issue with the market value or taxable value that she's just listed?
Did it go up?
The market value increased by 604,000 with new construction.
The thing, we lose businesses every year. We don't have any new businesses. So does the market value, go along with, the increased businesses or what? Because we have lost businesses. We have never gained any businesses.
Right. But you've got some new construction over there, which is part of it. There's been a couple garages.
Business construction, is it new business construction?
No, it's the total market value in the city of Belfield. So residential, commercial, everything.
So we have some new construction, but you know what? A lot of that new construction is in the floodplain too. Where is our new construction at?
I would have to go through individual properties. There's $393,900 in new construction.
And it went up by 600 some thousand?
604,000 even.
Yeah, I don't see where the market value, because we have no businesses. We don't have any, I don't, is this to do, you said it's in the business market value went up?
Just
No,
the
this-
market value. The total market value.
I don't see how it could have gone up.
Part of it was the dollar store, because there was only a portion of that on last year. And the rest of it would be a couple garages. I'm sure there was a couple decks, just little things like that. There was nothing major
Raise the market value by that much.
well, if you got 2 or 3 of them, yeah. If you got a couple garages that are at 55,000 or 65,000, it doesn't take much to get to 604,000 when you're talking about 57 million. Ed Brown's house, there was an increase on Ed's, and that's a huge addition, and garage, that's probably 300,000 right there.
I forgot about that, yes. Okay.
The taxable value only went up,
No, yeah.
your taxable value only went up 28,546. Yes. You have any other questions?
Yeah, because, no, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll look for a motion that approve the values that were just stated by our tax director.
Chairman, I'll move that the taxable or market value of the city of Belfield be accepted at the 57,341,100 year 2021.
And the taxable value,
Taxable value set at 2,671,133.
okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Arthod. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the city of South Hart. Their market value for 2021 was $35,704,500, which is an increase of $353,700. They did have new construction in residential of $336,300 and new construction in commercial of $313,300. The taxable value for this year is $1,646,536. Is there anybody from South Hart, either on the phone or present in the room, that would like to speak?
Anyone from South Hart have a question? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve the market value and tax value for South Hart.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Arthod. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Marsh. Roll call vote, Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Okay, on to Gladstone. Their market value was $14,337,700, which is an increase of $131,100. New construction in residential is $144,900, and the taxable value is $650,619. Is there anybody from Gladstone on the phone or present in the meeting.
Anyone from Gladstone have any question? Now I'll look for a motion to approve for Gladstone, market value, taxable value.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Okay, now on to Taylor. Taylor's market value for 2021 is $13,166,300, which is a decrease of $89,200. And that is the result of the depreciation, and they also tore down an old house in Taylor that they're actually gonna rebuild on, but it's just a hole there right now. Their taxable value is $601,182. Is there anybody from Taylor on the phone or in the meeting?
Anyone from Taylor have a question on market value or taxable value for Taylor? Not, look
Mr.
from,
Chairman, I'll move that the market value of City of Taylor for 2021 be set at $13,166,300, along with the taxable value of $601,182.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Messer, second by Commissioner Arthod, roll call vote. Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Now on to the City of Richardson. Their taxable value for 2021 is $67,997,714, which is a reduction of $6,739,506. That is due to the Marathon plant selling for pennies on the dollar, and so we had to adjust that for this year. It did not get used at all in 2021 or 2020, so we reduced that value. I do know that Bill Platson is doing some rail car facility stuff there now, so I looked for it to go up for next year. He's adding more rail and that kind of stuff, so that value will recoup itself somewhat. I don't know if he'll ever use the buildings that are there, but he's definitely using part of the facility, so. They did have new construction of $65,200 in residential, and their taxable value is $3,244,759. Anybody here from Richardson or on the phone from Richardson?
Anybody have any questions on market value or taxable value for Richardson? You said Marathon, that would be Halliburton,
Halliburton, yeah.
wasn't it?
Halliburton, sorry, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the market value of the City of Richardson be assessed at $67,997,714, and the taxable value for 2021 be set at $3,244,759.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call vote, Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Okay, then I will have Joe from the City of Dickinson come up and present his values for the year, and then I'll be back to do the county.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
Thank you for having me this morning. The highlights from our board meeting, as far as our valuation, our true and full valuation. In 2021, our commercial properties had a valuation of $1,071,046,344. That was down slightly from last year's value of $1,073,464,544. Residential properties were also very similar. 2021, the valuation was $1,491,504,100 compared to last year's $1,462,718,300. So our total valuation this year is $2,562,444. compared to last year's $2,536,844. In new construction, there was $14,006,600 of new commercial construction. But that was balanced by a decrease in property values for commercial properties of $18,194,300. The bulk of that would have been the change in classification of the Halliburton over to the school, so that's exempt. And then the purchase of the American Bank Insurance Building by the city, which is now also going to be exempt. So that's what led to that decrease. And our residential properties, we had $18,480,780 of new residential, balanced by $269,200 of decreases. Our total taxable valuation for 2021 is $120,673,358, compared to last year's $119,495,551. So our taxable valuation's up about 1%. Our sales ratio, the actual properties themselves selling in 2021, our commercial sold at a rate of 91.8% compared to assessed value. As residential, our assessed value was 91.8% of the sales value, and residential was at 90.4%. Once it goes through the supplemental sheet and the new construction, all of that's added to that. The ratio that we're taking to the state this year will be 92% for commercial and 91.1% for residential. Do you have any questions of me at this time?
So, I have one, please. So the old bank now is not taxed anymore, right?
That is correct.
But what about the old city hall then, which went to the, is that gonna get, I mean, how is that gets put back into there then, right?
When that property sells, at that
Okay.
point, then it'll become taxable. So if it's during the year, it'll be prorated for that year, and then the next year it'll be on for the entire year.
Of course, the new American building is taxable, correct?
It is taxable, but they have a Renaissance zone application that they were successful in. So the first 5 years of that property, there's no tax on it. So after the 5 years is up, then it becomes taxable.
Land only on the tax,
No.
right? Not zero.
Zero, because there was no value on that land at the time either.
Okay.
All right, it might be land. I might have to double check that.
Okay. What's your requirement on the State Board of Equalization? What's your compliance range?
90 to 100%. Commissioner Zander, did you have? Oh.
I'm good, thanks.
Any other questions?
Are there, when you talk about that Renaissance zone, is there a lot of property owners that use that as a means for renovating or rebuilding or?
Commissioner Zander, you'd have to define lots. I think it's less than one a year in the 10 years that I've been there. We might have 7 or 8 on there. I think we added 2 or 3 over the last year or two. So, I mean, it's picked up a little bit, but whatever your thoughts are on it, might be underutilized.
Yeah,
Certainly.
I'm just curious because I think it's a good program. I didn't realize you got a free 5-year exemption, but that is what it is.
Well, it's 5 years on the change in value. And so the American Bank building, it was that bare lot. So I think it was the land only on that. And so there was very little value. So you put an entire building on, now all of a sudden, it's quite a bit.
Right.
Typically you see it rehab older downtown properties. And so it would be on the difference of what the value was and the value that's been added. So they're usually at least the existing taxable value that's still on that.
Okay.
So that one's kind of unique.
Yeah, but thank you.
Any other questions? Not to look for a motion to approve the city of Dickinson's market value and taxable value.
Also move.
Motion by Commissioner Zander, to have a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Messer. Roll call vote, Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chairman,
Yes.
before you take this, if you excuse my interruption, is there anybody that we need to worry about on the phone
Okay.
from the city of Dickinson?
So
We did
we're-
have one that
okay.
came to the city meeting, so whether they're
Okay.
on the phone or not, I'm not sure.
Is there anybody that has any issues in this with the taxable value, market value for the city of Dickinson? Hearing none, then I'll look for the motion then. It was Commissioner Zander, roll call vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
and chair votes aye, motion carried. Okay, then we'll go back to the,
Just a quick question on that, Joe and Natalie. Joe, so the notification requirements to the taxpayer comes out in the tax statement or in the reassessment statement that comes out at the end of February?
The evaluation notice?
Yes. I mean, for this meeting, I'm just thinking of non-local property owners. How are they aware of either the city's meeting or of the county meeting? I just want to make sure they're all.
Sure, and I'm sure the county notices as well. I work with Ms. Wandler here as when the meetings are going to be held. And then when we send our valuation notice out in March, and we send a notice out to everybody, we're only required to send it out to those who receive $3,000 and 10%. But we send a valuation notice to everybody, and the meeting dates are on that. It also gets noticed in the paper twice by the city, so there's that adequate notice. And then it's mentioned at the City Board of Equalization as well.
Okay. And Natalie in the county, you do the same?
Yep, same thing. The notices have, for the 10% and $3,000 has to be 15 days prior to the meeting. So we usually send ours out the middle of May, and we don't send them to every property owner. We just send them to the actual 10% or $3,000. A couple years ago when our commercial was decreasing and we were having phone call after phone call after phone call about these values, we sent them to all the commercial owners, just so they kind of had an idea of where they've been at. We have not had, I had one lady call me on Thursday, and by the time I got done talking to her, she said, well, I will get together with my guys, and if you get an email from me, you do, and if you don't, you don't. I haven't seen anything yet, so. Okay, so now we're on to the county, and I didn't email this to you guys, but it's basically a summary of that book that I sent you last week. It's just a one-page summary, so it has the different values. It was laying right on by your chair this morning but I don't know if everybody, yep. So that's just a summary. Dustin's here if you guys have any questions for him, but these are all the industrial appraisals that he does for Stark County every year. I know the refinery out here got converted to biodiesel, so there was quite an increase there. But if you have any questions for him, feel free to ask him. He's more than willing to come up and discuss.
And again, just quickly, what's the determination of which ones get reappraised?
We are contracted with him to do that list right there.
Okay, so who
Yep.
initiates that? You or
We
Dustin
did-
does it on a rotational basis?
Right, yep.
Okay.
Like, we were talking the other day that like saltwater disposals now, we'll probably do on a rotation, because we've done them for 2 years, and our contract is up. So now we'll probably do half of them 1 year, the other half the next year, and then that third year, do them all again. But the other ones, the bigger properties, I think we need to keep doing them on a yearly basis until they kind of level out, because they've been up and down and up and down. And so that was our discussion the other day, was that we should keep them on, and then the saltwaters we can do a little less often, just to keep that cost down a little bit.
Okay, I guess you answered my question, is if you are a large industrial property owner, how often would you expect this reassessment to take place?
As long as they keep doing stuff, we try to do it every year, just to pick up that extra if we can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if nobody has questions for Dustin, I will move on to the county's overall assessments. For 2021, the county, and this is not including the city of Dickinson, so our market value is $1,321,795,801, which is an increase from last year of $76,548,936. The taxable value is $63,908,075. The residential and commercial are broken down underneath that, so the land on the residential is $30,448,800. The structures for residential is $406,176,600. Our ratio for this year, when this is all complete and our supplement goes in, we should be sitting at 92.8 for the year. The commercial, the land is at $80,900,800. The structures are at $442,285,200, and our commercial should be sitting at 91.2. We didn't have any changes in farmland this year. There is a little bit of percentage that we could have went up, but I just wanted to hold out this year yet and see what it's gonna do for next year. We might have to go up a little bit next year, but for right now, the new construction that we have is $14,705,600 in residential, and commercial's $2,429,300. That does not include the new construction from these industrial appraisals. So our total overall value in market value, including the city of Dickinson, the small cities, is $4,072,893,559 for a taxable value of $193,000 or $1,395,662. And our average ag land value for Stark County is $448.01.
That's pretty consistent.
It is pretty consistent. Yeah, well, the formula we got from NDSU this year said it should have been a little bit higher, but in my experience over the years, it's like they say you should go up and up and up, and then all of a sudden it goes back down a little bit. So I like to just wait it out. As long as we're okay in our median and the state's not hollering at me that I need to raise it, I like to just leave it a little bit. So we just need a vote or a motion on the total value, and then I'm done.
Okay, does anybody on the phone had any issues with this city of or I should say this full Stark County market value or taxable value for Stark County? Not, I'll look for a motion then to approve.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'll make that motion to approve the assessment as reported by tax director.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Zander, I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Arthod, roll call vote, Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Arthod.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. That conclude our Board of Equalization then?
We are. I do want to tell you guys that before we go into the executive session, there's a couple things that Joe would like to go over on the 2018 abatements that we need to take care of today. So when we get to that point, we can it's just a kind of an overview, but it kind of gives you something to think about as you're going into that executive session. So when we get to that point, I will have him come up and go over that.
Okay,
But otherwise, I'm done. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we're behind now, we're open the public hearing for the auditor's position from elected to appointed. On that, do we have any comment? That is the second open public hearing, we've had that, and then we haven't, after this, till December 15th to make a decision if we want to change it to elected or appointed position or put it to the vote of the public. So that would give the people enough time if it stays as elected, that they could run for the office for the next election. Anybody have any comment on the public hearing?
Chairman, I have a quick comment to make before someone comes up. I have just heard talk, and I've heard pros and cons both ways, elected, appointed. And through some of the talk that I'd heard from a few people that, well, the auditor only signs the checks to leave it as an elected position. And I would just like to read off, I know it's on the board, but I would just like to read off so people understand why we were thinking of doing this appointed. And just some of the duties an auditor does, and this is not even all of them. Responsible for all accounts received and accounts payable. Processes bi-weekly payroll and reports related to the payroll process, implements and processes the monthly distribution of tax collections, calculates tax levies, forecloses on tax delinquent properties, implements the fixed asset records for the county, maintains up-to-date registration and insurance on county assets, acts as clerk of the Board of the County Commissioners, and keeps an accurate record of the official proceedings of the board. They act as the county administrator of elections, transferring deeds, performing a wide variety of complex accounting functions, responsible for revenue and disbursement accounts, including disbursement of funds to political subdivisions, maintains the property tax assessment rolls, money handling functions for the office, preparing, balancing, and making daily bank deposits, receipt of all property taxes, posting of payments and issuing of receipts, licensing for county gaming and liquor, submitting entries into the tax roll, preparation of annual report of payments to schools in the county, annual mailings of new tax statements, semi-annual mailings of unpaid tax statements to delinquent property owners, reconciliation of periodic statements to the county's financial accounts, accountable for state audit and audit record requests for applicable entities. So the auditor does not just sign the checks. I just want to make that clear, and that is one thing that concerns some of us commissioners to keep this as an elected position, is to have somebody come in and not having any of the background or having anybody that was here in the past to know everything to do this for being a county auditor.
Public hearing is open. Anybody have any comment? Mr. Bedoin?
Thank you for the privilege of
Just
being
state your
presented
record, your
here
name for the
today
record,
before the
please.
county.
Mr. Bedoin, can you state your name for the record, please?
Dave Bedoin. My voice got a little hoarse over the weekend. Last week I was reading what the state code is, and pretty clearly it said that the county auditor is elected by the public. Then it said in there that it sounded like, with an exception, let's say if the county auditor died or the vacancy was filled, need to be filled, that they would be appointed to the time of the election. So I thought about it, and my thinking is this. There's a lot of influences that take place in the county. It could be political, it could be personal. And my thinking is that if you have somebody who is elected, he's responsible to the public. And if you have somebody that is appointed by the county, he's actually, or she is actually, under obligation to the county to perform the task of the county. Now, the state has their own responsibility as far as what their requirements are. And probably my first question would be, is there any difference in the requirements of the state compared to the county? The state has requirements for the county auditor in the selection of the county auditor, but what I'm getting to is the overall view of the county auditor. I know the county auditor has a great responsibility, and it's probably a job that most people would not want. So, but these are some of my concerns. But my greatest concern is that there would be no political entanglement, or personal entanglement, because of the validity of this office. It is very an important office that we have here in this county, and if we want this county to go well, then we have somebody with the integrity that can do this work. So there's nothing worse than having work done that is not correct, because then you got to go back and redo it over again. And that's one of my concerns. being thorough with this passage, and I believe that if it's elected by the public, I think there's more freedom for the county auditor to be more free in her responsibilities to the county.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comment?
I just got a couple of comments, Clarence Tui. I think the auditor's position should be elected. I mean, where do we stop? Are we going to get a committee going to appoint commissioners next? And we as citizens of Stark County and as far as the country have the power to vote, and that's what we got to try and do. And we don't want this position to be political or personal, which does happen at times. If it's elected, there's ways to deal with that. If the person's not doing their job, if it's appointed, there's ways to deal with that, as long as personalities don't intervene with it. So I think that position should be elected and leave it up to the people and let them deal with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anybody else? Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Mickey Thompson. I know some of you. I did email you guys this morning, so I'll just keep it brief because I think my email was pretty long. But I'm for the elected position. I don't want our right as county citizens taken away in that aspect. I can see where you're coming from, where you want it. It's easy for it to be appointed. But after the year we've had with the commission, with the county and everything being all crazy and problems happening. I mean, we've had charges brought against 2 commissioners. I have this all in my email, but sorry, I get a little nervous when I'm up in front of like a whole group. I think now's not the time to do this. I believe that our people in Stark County can elect an appropriate person that will follow North Dakota Century Code and will follow Stark County policies and procedures. We just need to find that person, and if that person's not doing their job, that needs to be brought to the attention of the people of Stark County, and we will do what we need to do to remove them and find a better person that was on the, I don't like to speak ill of the dead. That was happening to the last auditor. We the people were prepared to fight back and get a better auditor in that position, an auditor that the people deserve. We deserve all of this to be done according to the law. And not just according to a law, but efficiently and done right and honestly. And I feel that if we leave it up to the commissioners, yes, we elect you guys, but there's problems like political, like Dave was saying, there's political ideas that get mixed in with that. And if the auditor is beholden only to the commission, there's more room for error. We need the auditor to be beholden to the taxpayers of Stark County, not to 5 people who are elected, but at the same time, we need answers when we call the auditor's office. If they're beholden only to 5 people, we don't necessarily get those answers if we call an auditor who is appointed. When we call an auditor right now who's elected, they're required to give us the answers that we seek about the budget, about tax assessing, about elections. And we need to keep that transparency, especially because of the year we just had with this county. It's a mess. And we're just starting to get it back to where it needs to be. And I think that this is something that doesn't need to happen. It needs to stay elected until our county is up and rolling and we don't have random things coming against county auditors. We don't have a $23 million overage on our budget that's against North Dakota Century Code. Well, 13 million of it is over against North Dakota Century Code. We need to have this stay as an elected, excuse me, sorry, as an elected position. And I thank you for your time, and I thank you for reading my email this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment from the public?
Andrew Cordnoy.
Good morning.
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 Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'd like to voice my opinion on keeping the position to remain elected here. Commissioner Arthod went through the roles of the auditor, and with that, I think that there were some omissions. I mean, these are the roles that we see in different century code and different policies. But there's a huge role that is not expressed there, and that is the role that the citizens have towards our auditor. The citizens expect to have this accountability towards the county, towards the commission, that the auditor is not supposed to be subservient to the commission. They're supposed to be the main check and balance towards this commission and towards the county. If we make it an appointed position, then now they work underneath and not in parallel to, but subservient to this commission and to this body and to the county. The commission should have a certain level of fear towards the auditor because they're the ones who are supposed to show the people the different spending. Just like me as a business or as a private citizen, when I get audited or when I am talking to an auditor, I have a certain level of fear and respect for that position. This is not because I did anything wrong, made any errors on purpose, but because it is that accountability. If the auditor is assigned and the branch that holds this commission starts to wither, so does the auditor. And to the auditor here, kind of would like to address, were you promised when you took this position that it would be changed to appointed? Or were you offered this position where you promised that this would be attempted to be changed? I don't expect an answer in public forum right now, but these are things that you need to think about. Were these promises made when you took this position? And if so, it was improper role that this would be handled. Like I say, I do not expect an answer, but if you would like to, by all means.
I was not promised anything. It was mentioned that they were open to the idea of switching the position to an appointed position, but taking the position, I knew that I would potentially have to run for the position.
Thank you. I would also like to note that the money that we're spending as the county, that the auditor oversees and handles, it is not the county's money. It is the citizens of the county's money. We need to constantly remember that it is the people, the individuals, that the role of government is to oversee the benefit of the people, not to just be known as the county. With that accountability of the money, just today we've had longevity issues, and I believe it is the role of the auditor to expose these issues, to bring them to light. Whether or not there's malfeasance or not, that's what we do to investigate and to check things out. But as a citizen of this area, I do not believe that if you were working under the capacity of being assigned by this body, you would bring this to light to the citizens, to the press. And that is why I am adamantly in support of keeping this as a elected position, so you continue to work for the people and accountable to the people and our dollars, not to the county and to this commission body. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Commissioners. If you have any questions, I stand ready for any of them.
Any questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're running a little behind here. Anybody else have any comment or? If not, I'm gonna close the public hearing then, and we're gonna have a 10-minute break. And I apologize to the people on the agenda. We're a little bit behind, but we'll get right to you after the break. We'll have a 10-minute break, please.